It is nearly the 42nd millennium and we are getting a new 40k game, and this one does not feature just the Space Marines. No, it's the Grey Boys this time and it's pretty good.
We are the warriors of the Grey Knights, Daemonhunters.
How's it going, people? Jack here. So, the good folks at Complex Games invited me to play an additional 2 hours of Chaos Gate Daemonhunters alpha build, and this is what I can tell you about it. So, quick summary about the plot first and foremost. In this game you play as Grey Knights, but I hear you say, Jack, my brother, I know nothing about World of Warhammer. What is the Grey Knight? To which I respond, why are you speaking patois and thanks for asking? The Grey Knights are one of the most secretive organizations in Warhammer 40k. Think for example of the Hemsworth brothers. What? Chris will be like your standard loyalist space marine. People know of him, they see him around, they have an expectation of him showing up as given conflicts, and they just mainly know that he's built different. Liam is the one that really doesn't get much coverage. Not much is said about him, but whenever he shows up you know that something bad or a bombshell's about to drop, just like the casual Chaos Marine. And then you have Luke. Who? Exactly. No one knows about him. I'm pretty sure that there are rumors about him fighting an entire army by himself and holding his own against some world-dominating engine. And just the mere mention of his name will have the Australian government, I mean the Inquisition, raining down on you. Inquisition, open up! In this game, you are set in the Tartius sector, a place far away from your home base of Titan. After some event transpire, which I unfortunately cannot mention here as it is important to the plot, you are promoted to acting commander and are to do the routine stuff. The whole spreading the Emperor's righteous wrath towards the galaxy. But out of nowhere, an Imperial Inquisitor shows up and commandeers your ship, asking you to do some research on an impending plague.
Wait, the Inquisition? I did not expect you.
No one ever does.
All I care about is seeing chaos dead.
Well, not in its entirety. Now, while there are appearances from creatures serving other Chaos Guards, notably in my playthrough were minions or acolytes of the Blood God Khorne, the main foe here will be Nurgle. Now, Nurgle is the Lord of Decay, the Master of Plagues. And while all things, no matter how solid and permanent they seem to be, are all liable to an eventual corruption and death. Now, since the Chaos Guards do feed on emotions, Nurgle is directly involved with the plights of mortals, especially the fright that humanity has for death. Take for example a Space Marine. Despite their incredibly evolved and altered physiology, which has allowed lots of them to survive events and even tell the tales of such things as the Horus Heresy, even with the fear of death genetically removed from them, they will eventually die, for it's not a question of if, but when. For those lacking mental fortitude or who surrender to the dark side, you might get the embrace of Nurgle, whom, while being the god of death and decay, is also the god of rebirth, for what is decay if not simply one part of the cycle of life without which no life could grow. Now, becoming a follower of Nurgle, you will represent the rot, you'll be disfigured, horrific to look at, and you'll be forced to roam the galaxy teaching all you come across to embrace despair, to accept the disease, or should I rather say, the gift that is the bloom, as the love that has been passed on to them from Grandpapa Nurgle.
That's good, yeah, brother. How about the Grey Knights?
Yeah, the Grey Knights, as proud member of the 666th chapter, who are especially suited to dealing with demonkind and are absolutely incorruptible, if you do not count the Silver Knights, you are to stop and annihilate the spread of the bloom in this sector. Aboard your strike cruiser, the Baleful Edict, you'll navigate through both real and warp space, acquiring knowledge on the bloom and annihilating the threat. You'll be working under the supervision of Inquisitor Vakir, she who requisitioned your ship, and Grandmaster Verden Kai, who is voiced by Andy Serkis, so that's pretty cool. This is Brother Ektar, who supervises the stratagem. He's not too fond of having to suppress the righteous wrath you have to inflict upon your enemies for the sake of the Inquisitor's research, but he's more than happy to aid you in managing both Barracks and Armory. Given that I got to play a version of the game where some gear was already unlocked, I was really surprised to see how much customization and stuff there actually was. For example, the loadout for melee weapons does come in 7 categories, with stats that are partially to fully upgradable, like this one that I used on my runs for the different missions that I got to play, called Ferocity, that lowers the enemy's AP by -1 for each turn. And it was a great use for my interceptor, which quickly became my favorite class to play. It has teleport strike. Come on.
No match for the Emperor's chosen.
Depending of course on the specification you play as, you will be limited in your loadout. Example, if you play as a Purgator who uses a two-handed ranged weapon, you won't be seen carrying an additional blade, but as Grey Knight you'll still fare really well in melee combat, as you can just purge the demons with the power of bonk. It equally goes for range attacks, as every Grey Knight do wield a Stormbolter, the wrist-mounted landmower that you see here. The weapons I got to try were absolutely incredible, and I love how minor changes can actually alleviate some issues within missions. They have a great variation in effect and animation, and from the loadouts that I got to try, none of them ever felt the same. There is also an additional perk with collecting unique weapons, and as some lore buffs may be very pleased out there, there is an inclusion of some interesting blades. For example, this one.
The Black Blade of Antwerp.
Character customization is also very good. I won't necessarily call it a paint your own miniature simulator, but it packs a good variety of items that I found to be adequate. Well, this is coming from the guy who doesn't paint minis. I know. Great heresy. But the subtlety is in the details, like for example how the class you end up playing as will be affected by the helmet that you pick. I unfortunately did not have quite the time to dive deep into the abilities that were there, but the skill tree is rather in depth, giving you the opportunity to channel the light of the Emperor himself or just go full throttle with Mick Gordon abilities. Weapons, I'm talking about weapons. I got to play 3 different missions, 2 of which involve the extractions of bloom seeds.
Are you certain the bloom is here, Ektar? This is a bustling industrial world.
The omens are plain. There is bloom spawn below. They corrupt the minds of the weak and the unworthy. Purge the unclean.
Now, the first thing that sprung into my mind was the importance of strategic placement. Maps here are riddled with obstacles that will put you at a disadvantage. You may well be an all-powerful Grey Knight with psychic and physical prowess beyond belief, but you are grossly overwhelmed with the numbers of foes you face. So when your favorite knight is down, you'll be begging for an apothecary to come and help you out. So anticipation becomes key here, for once you realize how your enemy moves and the fact that they, as well as you, know that the environment is destructible, and how to flank you, and trick you to the best of their abilities, they will lay traps. They will evolve.
What is happening to me?
And summon additional threats if you do not act quickly. Now, there is an additional thing that stood out for me, and that is how absolutely overpowered grenades are in this game. Getting a solid throw in the beginning when enemy units are grouped up is a great advantage to get from the start. I mean, they literally spell doom on them. Now, given the verticality in the game, you can just imagine how destructible the environment can be. They have an incredible knockback that you can use against enemies on ledges and bridges, walls. I just say that like walls were the most intense thing in the world. Walls. No, but it can also be combined with environmental effect and, well, the AI can also do that to you. So, just to say, the units aren't stupid in this game. Now, beside the goal of purging demons from a specific level, you of course have the additional task of harvesting the seeds. But for those who yearn for a bit more of an extra challenge, you can perform what are called heroic deeds, which will introduce limitation to your gameplay but for additional rewards. Now, I'll say that fighting against some of the lower enemy levels is going to be pretty easy out there. It's going to be a nice introduction to the game, but engaging with such things as the Hellbrute and even better, higher demons like Igor the Benevolent is going to be one hell of a challenge, because I unfortunately did not even manage to get close as to killing the guy. Can I ask why you had to make the animation so gross? Oh, look at that! Most missions will end up in either a victory or a defeat, sending you back to your ship. Now, if all else fails and you can't contain the threat, you can always engage in the Fyodor Karamazov method, that of going full exterminatus. But don't do that. Don't. Now, in terms of music, all the soundtracks that you've heard in the videos have been from the game itself. I downloaded the original Chaos Gate game some months ago, earlier this year, and by the Emperor's grace I managed to play it. And I realized that the Ultramarine chant, yes, that one that you may have spotted also in the TTS series, actually came from that game, so I was therefore really happy to hear this one brought back, although in an altered version, much cleaner and suited for the Grey Knights. I must say that the looks of these games are really appealing to me. I think that it could have something to do with the colored models and how detailed they are. The well-crafted surfaces that are very reminiscent of an actual tabletop game, you know, something that has received a lot of love. And, well, the game is made in Unreal Engine, I think Unreal Engine 4, obviously, which I guess most Warhammer titles as of late have been employing, so it might explain why it looks so good. It also helps that there are these small cutscene style animations during the fights, which helps the game feel a lot less samey. It feels like it brings an extra dimension to things, so I really like that. So yeah, the animation department did a very swell job here. In the way that the Nurglings are moving, the environments, how they crumble with each interactions, and oh, the flappy belly of goddamn Igor the Benevolent. Ugh, that thing, just look at that. It gets a 10 out of 10 total Warhammer points from me. Now, there is a ton more to discover. I haven't even talked about the Death Guard, which I didn't get to experience, but I got to talk with some of the people there, and there's a lot here in store. And by the way, for those who have made the comparison to XCOM, I hadn't touched an XCOM title in a while. The only one that I actually have played is The Enemy Within, and yeah, I get it now. So yeah, if you're a fan of the XCOM franchise, this is definitely something that is going to be pleasing to you. Now, there's a lot more to say, but I'll let you guys figure it out when the game drops on May 5th of next month. That made no sense. May 5th, that's when the game drops out, and yeah, highly recommend that you try it. And if you like the video, you know what to do, hit the like and or subscribe button. Please go and subscribe to the Chaos Gate Demon Hunter official channel. You can see Andy Serkis painting some minis there if you're interested in that, and his commentary, he's pretty funny. And yeah, have a good one, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.